is 8. At this point in the school year, Sion, he knows everything's in his calendar, so he knows
Okay.
where
Okay.
he needs to be.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I'm good.
awesome.
Pretty flexible.
I think we
I
are.
My students do what I tell them to do.
I'm not quite there yet, though.
Okay.
I'm not quite there.
Yeah, they're trying to get their doctorate, so they'll do anything for me.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Gant.
Are you dressed up, Commissioner Bondini?
Yeah, I got a meeting and a meeting at the restaurant. My dissertation student.
Mm.
Would you say? Yeah, and I don't. I try to do decent for the public. Did you freeze?
I think he did.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't freeze. I was just multitasking.
No, you
Oh,
also
okay.
froze.
Okay. So as soon as we get, who are we looking for? Allison.
I don't see Commissioner Reed or Allison. I don't see goodness, 21st Century Schools. I can't think of her name.
Okay.
I cannot think of her name. Miss Hellman. I don't see Miss Hellman.
Okay.
Unless someone else is doing the presentation today.
Okay. Do we have to have a chief here? Just move.
Allison's online.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, Allison.
I think.
Hello.
Oh, I do.
Hello.
Okay, so.
How are you guys?
Great. See Miss Hellman. All right.
You look happy.
I will shoot.
I just came from a school. That's always happy times.
I know. Good.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and get started for the sake of time.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the October.
Woo!
April 20th.
COVID-19.
April 20th Operations Committee meeting. We can get started with the first presentation, which is the 21st Century Buildings Program for the Spring 2021 update. Good morning, Ms. Hellman.
Good morning, commissioners. Very nice to see you all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Joe will be doing the work behind the scenes for me this morning. It almost seems as if we just met the other day. Time is just like really flying fast, but it's great. Anyway, welcome to the 21st Century School Buildings Program update for spring 2021. The agenda, again, typical for all our presentations. We talk about the progress for year 1 and year 2 schools. We talk about this presentation. I added some new information about the project status because I wanted to walk you through, since we have deliveries that are upcoming starting in June. Wanted to give a little bit of update on on our financials and supply chain, because that's very critical to what we do, making sure we have the materials and everything ready for schools to be open. An update on a feasibility update for a high school program. We'll talk about swing, a little bit of a transportation recap, community engagement, student internship, and then we'll end with local hiring. So where the Plan Year 1 schools are concerned, we have 11 schools in Plan Year 1, and the final school, Patterson Claremont, which is under construction, that will be completed in September of this year. And I'll show you just a few slides later, just a few pictures of the progress of what's happening on site with our schools under construction. Next slide. Plan Year 2 schools. We have 17 schools in Plan Year 2. Currently, we have 7 schools that are completed: Harford, Aurora, Baybrook, Calvin Rodwell, Mary E. Rodman, Medfield, and the last one was Walter P. Carter. We have 7 schools under construction now: Harford Heights, co-located with Sharp Leadenhall. We have Calverton, Govans. Next slide. And we have Robert Coleman, Mosher, Northwood, and Montebello. The schools that are highlighted in bold, 6, 5 in year Plan Year 2, and 1 in Plan Year 1 will be delivered this September. We do have 2 schools that are in design currently. We have Highlandtown and we have Cross Country. Commodore John Rogers, it's going through the feasibility studies right now, and that should be completed shortly. Next slide. So this is where you're not able to go out on site for those of you that are seeing these pictures. I wanted to bring the schools to you so you could actually see the progress of what's occurring. Now, the other thing I want to point out is these pictures, since our presentation is submitted almost like a month in advance, that if you go to the schools today, we're going to be way advanced because we're always doing work on site, right? But at least with these pictures, you get to see an idea of what's happening and the progress of our construction sites. This one is Harford Heights, which is going to be co-located with Sharp Leadenhall. This school is going to be open in June. You can see the outside pretty much, we're all weather tight. We're pouring our sidewalks in. On the interiors, you can actually see that our flooring or interior walls are all there, or millwork or cabinetry is all there. And again, if you guys need to go on site to do any walkthroughs, I can certainly do that. But this gives you a snapshot of where we are. Next slide. Right here, you're looking at both James Mosher and Robert Coleman. Again, these are progressing very nicely. I just selected just a few shots so you could see both the exterior and the interior space of what's happening on our project sites. These 2 schools will be open in July of this year. Next 2 schools, Calverton Elementary Middle and Govans Elementary Middle School. Again, you can see the progress that we're making over at Calverton, the interior gym. You can see the corridor. You can see that in some of our classrooms, we've already started the flooring install. Over at Mosher, again, we're all weather tight at this point. We're working on the outside. We're doing or sidewalks. On the interior, we're doing our mechanical, electrical, and what you're seeing is just the electrical pipe in here that is kind of hidden behind in the drywall. These 2 schools are scheduled to be open in August of this year. Next slide. And Patterson, or high school program, which is co-located with Claremont Middle High. This is the largest school that we're actually working on right now. That school is scheduled to be completed in August. Lots of work ongoing right now, lots of team members there on site. We're doing extended days, nights in a few cases on some of these projects, simply to make up some of the time that we lost through COVID. But so far, so good. We're on schedule for delivery, for all our deliveries in September of this year. Next slide. So with our construction projects pretty much settled in, and with the continued coordination that we do with quality control on our project sites, there are other issues that we make sure that we try to manage during the entire process of accepting our schools. There are budget issues, certainly. We did have to send in appropriations requests for our furniture, finishes, and equipment. We also sent sent in that information for our technology end user devices as well. This year on March the 3rd, we sent in a request for $2.9 million for end user devices. And we sent a request in for $6.5 million for furniture, finishes, and equipment that was sent to the MSA. That appropriation request was approved. Subsequently, we sent to the Board of Commissioners on the original contract that we had with our vendors. We had a $19.1 million contract, which was for the procurement of furniture packages. That contract expired. That contract was subsequently expanded, and the Board of Commissioners, actually gave approval for an additional $10 million. Rounding it out to $29.1 million for us to fund the rest of the program, which includes all 28 school buildings, which equates to 32 schools. The procurement of goods and services for schools are very important. Last year, we saw all the issues that we had with COVID, so we were very proactive this year in making sure that we had our FF&E and we had our end user devices. So we actually proactively released all of this to ensure that when our schools are ready, that we wouldn't be in competition with other schools for getting our devices and furniture in. So for our technology items, we've already coordinated, released our purchase orders for the 8 schools that are going to be opening this summer. We're already coordinating for the delivery, installation, and deployment. I was told this morning that we do have some of our Apple devices that are already coming in for Harford Heights and for Lois T. Murray, because those schools are going to be open in June. We also, as I mentioned earlier, we take a look at the supply chain. We take a look at what's happening in the industry, both here and abroad, to make sure that we're not getting, if there's anything that's foreseeable out there, that we're addressing it. One thing we noticed that there were glass shortages that were being used for monitors and displays. So we were again very proactive in making sure that we ordered these items, so we're not going to be impacted by the glass shortages that are out there. Furniture, finishes, and equipment. The POs have been secured for the 8 schools. Again, in order of priority, we ensure that we're kind of mitigating any issues that are out there. We're expecting around 25,000 pieces of FF&E items. Currently, we have no issues with our vendors actually meeting all these timelines, again, because we're being proactive about it. Next slide. So now that we've kind of talked about all the schools that are in queue, we're also looking at schools that are coming forward in the near future. The high school feasibility studies are funded under the 21st Century programs. We do have 5 schools currently within the high school program that we're coordinating for the studies to be completed and for the ultimate funding under the HB1 funding. Frederick Douglass High and Joseph C. Briscoe and Baltimore City College are 3 of the first schools we expect to begin construction. Where Frederick Douglass High and Joseph Briscoe is concerned, the feasibility study is nearing completion. We had a final community meeting that was held on April the 8th. Where the enrollment is concerned, there is a request on behalf of city schools for 1,100 students. This was actually approved through legislation earlier this week, or I believe last week. Even though our current test fit plan shows around 1,058 students, we still have options on board where we're able to make that 1,100 student mark. That school is co-located with Briscoe. The enrollment for that school is 110 students. We are able to accommodate in the new plans all 110 students. The note that I have for the IAC consensus is pending. That is actually going to go away because the enrollment for this school, for both schools, are actually approved through a legislative action. Now, we do have a board operations review where we're going to kind of drill down into the details for this school. It's set for May the 18th. I'm going to put an asterisk on that date because we have a few new information that's coming out. We're trying to ensure that we have the budget coordinated for this. So this may be delayed a tad bit, maybe for potentially another month. But we are hoping that we're able to catch up for the June 8th public session to get all the information for that date. Where Baltimore City is concerned, this one is pushing ahead more than all the others. The feasibility studies pretty much are at a completion right now. We had our final community meeting on March the 17th. There was a request for the enrollment to be 2,061 students for the ed specs. Even though it was not achieved, the current test fit plan for 1,998 students was found to be acceptable because we were working within the footprint of the existing building. We met with the CHUM community, we met with the alumni, we met with community members, so we do have buy-in for the new plans that we have. On this project, we were able to achieve IAC consensus for the student enrollment and gross area baseline. We do have a CHAP, the Historic Society, reviewing the exterior of this building, not only this one, but Frederick Douglass as well for May and June. We are going to meet the board operations review meeting set for May the 18th. We will have the budget for this school, the preliminary budgets for review. And we do intend to go to the public session on June the 8th for final approval for Baltimore City College. Next slide. Currently in queue is Baltimore Poly and Western High. We continue to have feasibility studies, meetings on these. We have community meetings which are scheduled to begin this month. We actually had one pre-meeting yesterday with the alumni and that went very well. We have IAC consensus pending on the student enrollment and gross area baseline. These dates are a little bit farther out, but we do have the board operations review set for July the 20th, and we have a public session set for August the 24th. So again, the intent is to get all the high school studies completed for by summer of this year, so that when the HB1 funds are released, that we're actually ready to jump into design. Next slide. So swing school status. We have many schools in swing schools kind of waiting for their permanent relocation to their new schools. So we do have we're prepping for the relocation of 5 schools to their permanent location this summer. But really it's 11 schools because it does include merger schools that also need to be relocated to their permanent locations. We're working with the principals and the teachers to purge old materials and FF&E. We're doing inventory on sites. We're working with our facilities department here at North Avenue for them to salvage materials and equipment that can be inventoried and be used at other schools. We're coordinating for roll-off so we can have the proper disposal of excess and unusable materials on site. So if the school is going to be surplus, it can actually be done in a manner that is clean and acceptable when we turn it back over to Baltimore City. And we continue to have meetings on a monthly and on a bi-weekly basis, again, being very proactive to making sure that we have a successful relocation. So the schools that are being moved permanently this summer is Calverton, and we're working with Hartford Heights, Cross Country, Govans, Robert Coleman, James Mosher. Highlandtown and Montebello will follow in 2022. Next slide. Swing schools, where transportation is concerned, again, I've just left a note here pending COVID. We still continue to coordinate with our transportation department at at North Avenue. Again, we currently do not have yellow bus transportation because we're still under the umbrella of COVID, but the program continues to await guidance from the district. The funding is still there to address swing schools should it be needed. Next slide. Community engagement. These continue no matter what, whether it's virtual. We do have a few in person as well, but we have different methods of ensuring that we continue to be engaged with not only the community, but with the schools and with our students. We do have some virtual merger activities. We have some online painting classes that's occurring for our Calverton students who are going to be merging with Alexander Hamilton students in their new school. We also have activities for James Mosher, PK to 2, and again, students from Alexander Hamilton, because they're all going to be merging, in addition to backpacks and a few other things that we have. We also have school renaming that's occurring, Calverton. That naming has been deferred until May, but James Mosher was recently renamed to Billie Holiday Elementary School. We're currently coordinating the new signage for that school. And all it means is just that maybe at the opening, because it does take a few weeks, sometimes a few months for the signage to be created. We'll potentially open with banner signs, but we will definitely have the permanent signs in place as soon as everything is signed off, not only by the Board of Commissioners, but also by Baltimore City as well. Community meetings are ongoing. Cross country, we had our first project meeting with the community that was very active, that was very vibrant. We continue to have dialogue with regards to parking, the building height, and several other issues there. But again, we're in design, and this is actually where we kind of get to the details of making sure that the community is on board with everything that we're doing. Highlandtown, we had our final design meeting in March. We're currently in procurement for construction management services with the intent to begin construction in the next few months. We also have principal tours that are ongoing. The principal and the key teachers, we met over at Govans. We also did tours for Robert Coleman so they could get familiar with their new building before it's actually turned over. And we also had the teachers and the principal doing walkthroughs at Sharp Leadenhall as well. Again, the idea is for everyone to kind of get familiar with their new school before they actually move in, so it becomes almost a seamless transition. Next slide. Internships. Good news where this is concerned. We are going to be having a virtual hybrid program this year. The recruitment was completed. We were able to recruit 15 city school students. They participated in pre-work training, 6 weeks, 60 hours. We only had 14 students complete the training out of the 15, but nevertheless, we still have a full contingent of students. March through May of this year, job placement is in process. Until the students get placed, they do get a bonus, a stipend of $50 weekly until they are confirmed. And they continue to participate in workshops. June through August, the full-time work actually begins. And again, the training actually includes intensive skills in digital literacy, speaker series, online mentoring, and limited on-site visits on different project sites. Next slide. Local hiring. This is as at March the 26th. We have 8,207 persons fingerprinted throughout the entire program since the inception of the program. 7,844 cleared and 363 not cleared. And that's the spring update for the 21st Century program.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hoffman. Just for the sake of, I saw Commissioner Reed's hand raised on the presentation, but you were almost finished. I'm so sorry. Marie, did you want to start off with your question?
No, that's perfect. I've learned that I should wait till people finish. So I put it up early just to let you know, but I was going to wait till she finishes.
Okay.
Great job, Dorothy. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, can I ask 3 questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. My first one, Dorothy, is the fact that how big is the HB1 funding? And what does it
That's anticipated to be approximately $400 million.
And that's for just those 5 schools?
Yes, high schools are very expensive to build.
Okay. Okay, so we got 5 schools, $400 million. Okay, my other question is, good thing we got thanks for the CTE program for the 14 kids. So they go through the process, and at the end, they have 14 full-time employees during the summer.
Yes.
What does that say for this process in terms of the people getting permanent jobs? Is there a possibility of these kids getting permanent jobs when they graduate?
Unfortunately, it was not built that way. In reality, the MSA actually contributes $24,000 each year for this program to occur. And from that pool of funds, the students are actually paid. But this is meant to get them into an environment where they're actually trained not only and to get an appreciation for whether this is a career choice for them,
right,
and or to find other pathways where they could get employment. But this is just an introduction to a formal workplace in a sense.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that question is our CTE students, 1, they need jobs, and two, they need better paying jobs than they've been getting the last few years, because the average salary is really disappointing for our CTE students. I mean, that's not your purview, but that's something that I think we look at, and I think it's important to us.
I agree.
And I guess my third question is slide 14. This is one that scared me the most. We don't have a plan yet for swing space for transportation. And my worry is September will be here pretty soon.
So this is Jacinta, and we are currently transporting the schools that's in 21st century, just as we are the other corners, corner to corner. We do have limited capacity on the buses, but for those students who opted to return to in person, we are transporting currently.
Okay, so say that number increases by 3.
3 isn't significant, but if that number increases by 100, we have a problem. And the problem is we don't.
Oh, you mean 100 total or 100 times?
No, 100 total. Like at this point, we are out of the capacity with social distancing on the yellow buses. And so as we are increasing, as students are deciding to return, we only have the same amount of buses to utilize to transport students to and from school.
Okay, so let me get clarity. So if you increase the number of students by only 100 kids, you're going to have a problem.
It could be.
And one thing that Jacinta and I talked about is whether we can look at, are there certain routes? We did not change routes. We did not change bell times when schools started going in person. Their concern was about it being too much disruption. Bell times this year were established based on, what schools thought at their individual level made sense for them in a virtual world. Now, of course, we're moving away from a virtual world, and those times are not coordinated the way they normally are to facilitate, bus routes. So it's been okay at this percentage of people using it. As it goes up, it starts to get a little bit more precarious. And so one thing I'd asked Jacinta and her team to look at was, are there particular routes or schools that if we change their bell times, like some, discrete group of bell time changes that we could make to mitigate this problem? And so that's one thing we're looking at.
Oh, so you're talking about a flow situation where they would go to one school at 8, another school at 10, that kind of thing?
Yeah, the bell times are really A lot of it is pursuant to trying to have, I mean, the buses are not just going to one school, they're going on multiple, the routes go pick up multiple students to multiple schools. So if you align those bell times, you can get a lot more efficient routes. And right now they're not as efficient as they could be. In addition to the social distancing issues that Jacinta mentioned, there's also the fact that they're not as efficient as they sometimes are because, again, it's been an unusual year, so we did not coordinate the bell times the way we normally do. So at some point we might have to, and maybe fairly soon, might have to look at whether there's some strategic key bell time changes we need to make this work.
I guess one thing that I brought up with this committee probably in the past, and I think I voiced it at a board meeting, is with Dr. S, is Amazon. They have a tremendous process in terms of linking stops. Is there some way we could create a relationship or get Amazon to help us gratis in terms of our planning, in terms of routes, be it for buses, be it for cabs, be it for families? Because I think they would do that free, and nobody does it better than they do. I mean, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, sure, one of these vendors would be glad to help us do some mapping process.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could certainly reach out to them and see. I mean, I think we'd be happy to get help from anybody we could get help from. Is that right, Jacinta? I mean, we've brought in multiple transportation consultants over the years, experts in routing, to try to help. And I think we've gotten better over time. I think Jacinta's got a really good routing crew who does this. But yeah, anybody who we could bring in who could provide greater level expertise. I think it's hard. I mean, but we because we're a choice district, I think that makes it more difficult. So people are going all over the city. We have, we don't have the bus fleet that other districts have. So we don't have any public transportation, or not any. Public transportation is more challenged in this city than it is in some other cities. So all those things together make it just a little bit of a conundrum. So yeah, if we can.
It's also the ride times. Also the ride times for the students, which limits the ability for us to route multiple kids that's coming from West Baltimore to go to like a school in East Baltimore. So that's where our challenges really reside. Is not the inability to route, it's the time in which a student can remain on a bus to get from one side of the town, as well as the number of buses that we have available. So as this COVID, a lot of the drivers are over the age of 50. And so we also are experiencing some drivers who went to Amazon or FedEx, who haven't returned to the industry as yellow bus drivers. So we were already at a shortage of drivers. And so COVID-19 and them being out of work for almost a year has also caused some staffing issues as well. So we would be happy to, I will reach out. I don't mind talking to Amazon, FedEx, anybody that can help. But I think what makes us a little unique to a organization as that is we're moving people and not packages. And so that makes it just a little unique to not just the route, but the time in which a child has to be at school. And it's definitely the bell times that play a big part of us being able to get the most efficiency from a route.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Reed, if offline you want to talk about if you have any connections too, I'd be happy to talk to you about.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
I'm sorry, I don't have any.
No, we can ask if you have other routes too. I just thought if you happen to know somebody, but we'll try to.
No,
I think it's a good idea.
Just brainstorming right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Bondima?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say thank you and congratulations on the PowerPoint presentation. It was very complete, very interesting, because I had some questions about certain schools like cross country and was taking them so long. So I read the whole thing and I was really impressed. But the one thing that I find that we fall a little bit short, and help me here, because if you've already done what I'm requesting, just let me know, because sometimes when we hear so much information, we miss pieces. And it's not that you aren't doing, some of the things that we're requesting. The one thing that I hear in the community a lot, and is a problem that we can correct, I am not sure if it will require more funds. I'm sure it will. But the one thing that will eliminate some of the concerns of the entire Baltimore City community, that includes not only the school system, but the communities where we house our schools. The information that you gave on the PowerPoint was thorough. Most of it we've seen already, but you brought us up to date on a lot of the information. But these schools sit in the community. They sit in neighborhoods. They sit there, and sometimes getting new schools is wonderful. But then we have swing schools or schools that are vacated, and they are just sitting there, and it's like a negative vibe on the community. I am asking you, and I'm hoping that we can do this, to that PowerPoint that you just put out, if we could take, even though we put it online and we assume that the community is reading what we put on, the people who are listening to us right now are listening, but they are not taking in everything that we're saying. And you get calls, we get questions. What's going on? Is this school? What's the date, the time? When are they going to open? I am asking, and this is a PR issue, and I don't know if they're already doing it. If we could not only send out paper information with all of this information on it to the community citywide, because neighbors who do not have children in schools ask the same question. When are they going to be finished at school? When are they going to move into the school? Where are the kids going? They are actively a part of our system. And that would eliminate many, many, many problems. We have to let the community know, and businesses, because many of the businesses, grocery stores and department stores, grocery stores like Giant or food stores, they have to know if schools are in session, if the school in the neighborhood is going to be opening soon. This is something that you might already be doing, but this will, when the commissioners and other people go out to the community, they ask us questions, and we do have answers, that some of the answers that you give us, but we don't have the answers on the spot. So it would be great if they have a folder or whatever where they can look and see that the school like Douglas or the school in their community, Calverton, what's going on with Calverton, so they will know, and they don't have to ask around. It will eliminate the calls to North Avenue, and it will eliminate a lot of problems. We can do that in advance because you gave us good information, but not everyone in the community, Baltimore City community, will have the opportunity to get this information.
And Commissioner Bundima, you're actually correct, because it takes different methods of communication to actually get out to everyone. We do have robocalls in a couple of instances, but it's very specific to certain things. But you're right, this information that we give out, which is really the bread and butter that everyone needs in the community, some of it gets into, we have a quarterly magazine, but again, that's on an email format. And so I'm going to get back to my communications team and our engagement team. We will definitely discuss it and see how we can actually improve upon maybe flyers for those that are not able to be on the internet or some other avenue of communication.
And thank you, but I'm not talking about flyers. Okay. I am talking out a folder that will lay on my kitchen table or my coffee table or at the front door, wherever, and look through that, say, oh, this is from Baltimore City. And it's clear as day that that school is sitting in my neighborhood, that's sitting there. And we know that something is going to happen, but when? And it's not, I'm not complaining. I'm adding to this.
Right.
This, we can resolve this. We can eliminate questions. It's something that is easy. We can do that. You can take the exact information that you already have and send it citywide. The council people will get it, the legislatures will get it, and everybody will be impressed with the fact that we are reaching out, and it'll arrive at our students' doors, it'll arrive at my neighbors' doors, and people who do not have children in Baltimore City but have a school in the neighborhood. And realtors will know that this school is a good place for people who are buying homes. Put that out, and with no question, not a flyer, because a flyer would be in the street and in the trash. A professional portfolio like we get. I know it will cost money, but it will eliminate a lot of issues.
Okay. All right. Let me take this back to my communication team. We're going to brainstorm a few ideas, and it's almost like a prospectus in a sense. And then we'll get back to you.
Please, because I'm going to ask this question. I'm hoping that this is not this concern is something that just get lost in somewhere else. But I'm saying this because I'm in contact with legislatures, council people, neighborhood people, and even though we say we get the robocall and then we get the online, they don't do that. But they will get a message in their front door if possible, and they can open it and say, oh, and they'll know exactly what's going on with the school in their neighborhood. And the parents, even though we tell them over and over and over again, they can open and follow it. They can follow it, tape, snap, put it on the wall where they can review it. If they forget something, they can look at it. A friend will call and I say, oh, wait a minute, I'll tell you what's going on with your school. That's a great way to show the community that we care and we are thinking about them and we want them to know what we're doing.
Yeah, on that level, I do think that cost may potentially be a barrier to that, because I understand what goes into this, but let me also include the MSA into that discussion as well. And then I will definitely get back to you as to what we're able to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to say that your information was excellent, but I wanted to get out there and not just to us and a few people who's online right now. We don't have that many people online. And we have how many people in Baltimore City? All of these people should have access to what we're doing in Baltimore City. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Von Diemen, can I just ask a follow-up question? So I just want to make sure we're being responsive to what you're asking. The information you want people to have is the information about the school in their building that's being constructed and the timeline for that, or it's about, I also heard you talk about surplus buildings that are now empty in schools, in communities. What are the key points? And so I'm just trying to think about how to get at that. Is it about the schedule and the timeline?
Okay, you just did a wonderful PowerPoint and listed all the schools that are complete. And if you listed all the schools that are being worked on or moved in or will open or will close, all that information should be in the public's eyes.
Okay.
All of that information. And I said it before, you have it right there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can take what you already have, print it out, and send it to the community. Because go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, so I almost wonder if it's like, it sounds like what you're thinking of is like almost an annual report, it's like summarizing everything that's happening in a way that
I don't want an annual report. This is what you just had. I could print it out on my computer, put a professional looking front to it, and put address names on it and go to the post office and put it in the mail, and it'll go to every house in the community. Everything that you had on the PowerPoint is enough information. Like what's going on with Calverton? You had it right there, but people don't. I think that our problem is that people don't get it. We can talk, but there are people that went right in one ear and out the other, and then they'll turn around and call you, Allison, and say, what's going on with my school? Or what's going on with my neighborhood? This school is all this work we've done. The same, don't reinvent the wheel. Take what you just did, put it in writing, print it out. I'm pointing to my printer. Print it out and send it bulk, whatever, and let everybody know, and they will be happy to see that. And they will be our messengers because they will share with the community. You got community group organizations, you got neighborhood organizations. That's huge, huge. And you could, at those organizations, I'm telling you that at these neighborhood organizations, they're asking the questions that you're talking about and you have the answers.
Okay.
And that will save, I don't understand. It should have been done a long time ago because it saves you energy and time for your people because they don't have to answer all these questions. When I go to my mailbox, I see what you just sent me and I flip through it and say, oh, okay. Oh, okay. All the information is right there. Just what we just talked about buses. All that information was wonderful information. They don't understand why we don't have enough buses, but you just explained it. Put it in writing and send it out to these people. They won't have to ask all these questions. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I mean, yeah. So we'll try to think about how to do that. I think part of the challenge with the construction pieces is that it's such an ever-moving timeline, and so
that's okay. You should say that. You say that. You say exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, and when you say that, they will understand. We're not sharing our information. And when you share what you just said, what are they going to ask you? And that will eliminate the time and that we spend answering the phone, talking to angry people about what about this school? Because I got a house in that neighborhood and that school is just sitting there. When are you going to do something? I'm telling you, because I'm talking about like cross country. You ride through cross country and that school is just sitting there with a fence falling down. And the people in the community went, when are they going to do something about it? And they don't have children in the school. They're not online right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they open up the copy it, send it to everybody, and they'll say, oh, this is when they're going to be working on it. This is when they're doing the design. This is when they have as much information because they sure aren't online right now. And they sure don't go into Baltimore City Public School website.
Yeah.
But they will go to the mailbox and open their mail.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Bondema, for raising that point. You made such a great point, and this was the absolute most appropriate space to have it.
Thank you.
The same for you, Commissioner Reed. Thank you for bringing up the transportation issue as we explore what it looks like for the summer and for the upcoming fall. So thank you, too, for keeping those things on our radar because they can oftentimes get lost through the cracks. Thank you so much, Ms. Hellman, for the presentation.
You're welcome.
We can prepare for the next presentation, Employee Health and Wellness Update.
Good morning, I'm Jeremy Grant-Skinner, the Chief Human Capital Officer. We asked to have some time on the Operations Committee agenda this year to give some general information about the employee benefits that we offer in city schools, and also to share some information about Be Well, our employee wellness program that was launched in the spring of 2019, a couple of years ago. So we'll share some information about both of those and then a quick update related to COVID-19 vaccinations. This slide shows the variety of medical and other benefits we make available to all of our part and full-time employees and the current third-party administrators that support each of these benefits. So starting at the top, we have three medical insurance programs plans that we offer. Two of them are offered currently by Care First and one by Kaiser Permanente. We offer a prescription drug benefit, dental and vision benefits. We have an employee assistance program that is offered by Beacon Health Options. And then we have a series of additional more ancillary benefits related to investments, life and disability insurance plans, along with flexible spending accounts. And then the last item you see on this slide is we also connect folks with other voluntary benefits if they want to have additional insurance or something else that's not covered across the range of benefits we directly provide. Our benefits along with salary are one of the attractive things about working for the district as reported by our own staff members. In 2020, we surveyed all employees and within that asked them about their satisfaction with a range of different aspects of their experience as City Schools employees. And as we shared with this committee back in July of last year, salary and benefits was one of the highest rated elements of employee experience. You know, to that end, we certainly see our offering of a comprehensive benefits package of an important component of a total rewards package offered to employees, both to help us attract and keep great employees here on the team in City Schools. I believe Commissioner Reed asked us or made a suggestion recently, and we wanted to highlight this given that recommendation recently. We do show through our employee self-service system a real-time and also an annual statement showing total rewards or total compensation to each of our employees. So this is a place where our staff members have regular access to see the total investment of them as a member of the City Schools team, both from a salary and wage perspective, and then also including those elements of compensation that show up through our contributions to their benefit plan. This shows for our overall across medical, prescription, dental, and vision insurance programs, the recent breakdown of the total cost for the premiums for those programs that is paid by City Schools on behalf of our staff members and the percentage that is paid directly by our employees through payroll deductions. So the blue line here shows the contribution made by City Schools. So we pay a significant portion, a very high percentage of the total cost for our medical, prescription, dental, and vision plans. And this is both an emphasis of the investment that City Schools makes to make sure that there is a total compensation package that supports our employees, and a highlight as we also continually focus ourselves and with our stakeholders on ensuring that our medical plans remain sustainable for the district. I want to say a bit more about the medical insurance options that City Schools provides. On the left side, this refers to the program, the plans that are currently offered by through CareFirst. We have a preferred provider network or PPN plan and a point of service plan or a POS plan. In both of these cases, these are plans that allow employees and their covered dependents to access health care through physicians that are either in our network, in the CareFirst network, or even outside of the network. So they can choose their provider. And in these options, the PPN option has slightly higher premiums and has a plan that involves less out-of-pocket expenses across the year. The point of service plan is a plan that has slightly lower employee premiums, but some more potential for some out-of-pocket costs through co-pays or co-insurance. So employees have the option to choose between either of those plans and can change from year to year depending on their circumstances. or they can choose to be a part of our HMO plan, which is offered by Kaiser Permanente. This is a fully insured plan where there's a fixed premium that we and our employees pay, and employees receive their care directly through Kaiser Permanente rather than through some broader network of providers. I'll say that, sorry about that. Just quickly, I wanted to add that about 1,000 of our employees and their covered dependents participate currently in the HMO option, whereas many, many more employees participate in either the PPN or the POS plan. Even before the experience of the last year plus as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, each of our third-party administrators already offered options for employees to access their information, to schedule appointments, or even receive care virtually. So these are simply 3 examples across our plans of ways that our employees and their covered dependents can access care or information about their care online. You see that we've highlighted that Express Scripts has a mobile app. And then in CareFirst and Kaiser's cases, we're showing how you can access information about your plan online, or on the right, even schedule a video visit through a doctor. And I will say, across these plans, they all offer apps, online access, and some kind of video visit options. And we have seen, of course, a significant increase in the number of employees who are accessing care virtually since early 2020. I mentioned earlier we have an employee assistance program, and we want to take a moment to highlight that plan, which is offered by Beacon Health Services. We are in regular conversation with our employee group representatives about how to ensure that we share as often and as clearly as possible information about our employee assistance program. This is a program that offers employees and anyone in their family regular access to free, confidential support directly from Beacon Health Services that can cover a wide range of topics. Really anything that an individual is experiencing that may be causing them stress, that they may be struggling with, or where they may just need information about other resources. So Beacon Health Services provides a lot of resources online, and they are probably most known for the opportunity for employees to receive free counseling sessions each year. So not a part of our medical plan, but even before someone accesses something covered by medical insurance, to help through topics like those that are identified here. And we the reason that we have really focused on getting information out about this is that there has at times here and elsewhere been some stigma associated with accessing an employee assistance program, and we with Beacon are really committed to making sure employees know that this is just an opportunity to reach out and get support from a counselor to provide some direct services or referrals to others who can support them as they're navigating life. I mentioned our engagement with stakeholders and want to highlight our Joint Health Insurance Committee. We have a contractual commitment to the Baltimore Teachers Union to engage across district administration and BTU leadership in a Joint Health Insurance Committee. And in the 2017-2018 school year, we launched or relaunched work in this Joint Health Insurance Committee, including representatives of all of our other bargaining units as well. So every month we meet together among a group of district staff and representatives from each of our bargaining units to examine the experience of our health programs, and also to focus on the development and now the implementation of wellness programming. This committee, as part of that examination of our benefits experience, reviews now quarterly reports on each of our benefit programs, and they also have provided input on requests for proposals. So when we go out to bid for one of our third-party administrators, this committee now provides input in the development of requests for proposals. They did that back in 2018 in the spring when we selected CareFirst and Kaiser Permanente and Express Scripts for the contracts that they are currently implementing. One highlight I want to add here is that this committee informs the district, provides input to the district on different aspects of benefits management where there are opportunities for us to better balance the availability of a really strong benefit program and the sustainability of our benefits program. And a couple of years ago, this committee informed our implementation of a step therapy program that has, in the first year, saved us more than $1 million compared to what otherwise we would have spent on our prescription drug program. And in this case, what we were able to recognize together is there was an opportunity for our employees to receive medically equivalent treatments that were lower cost treatments in a way that ensures that they're still receiving the same kind of benefit while also saving the district and our employees money. I'm going to shift and talk about our employee wellness program, Be Well. Commissioner Roberts, I do see a hand, so I'm not sure if you want to come back to questions or.
I'll wait till the end.
Okay.
I'll wait till. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Be Well is the district's employee wellness program that began 2 years ago. This coincided with the hiring of Ashley Freed and Christy Jones, two wellness educators who serve from the Human Capital Office. They're actually employees, respectively, of CareFirst and Kaiser Permanente, because recognizing the importance of expanded wellness opportunities for our employees, we incorporated into our request for proposals back in 2018 a requirement for those two vendors to provide a full-time district-based wellness educator so that we could build out those wellness opportunities. Be Well is what resulted from that. It is a wellness program focused on our employees' well-being and the well-being of the greater school community, helping our staff members experience better health and better life outcomes. Really, the wellness program is designed to provide a lot of information to help our employees be more aware and engage with their own health and wellness, and also to provide activities that employees can engage in to support their wellness as well. I'll say in the first year that we launched the Be Well campaign with our union partners, we leverage some of the wellness funding that is available through our contracts to provide a couple of devices, including Fitbits, to employees to monitor their own activity. And on the next couple slides, we'll share some more about different aspects of the Be Well initiative. The pilot program we want to highlight here is that we identified a group of schools with members of our Joint Health Insurance Committee to engage more directly in some partial day activities to support wellness in that school. We identified schools based on a number of criteria, but focused especially on schools in our communities that have been experienced historical disinvestment, and we worked with leaders of those schools to customize some sessions that we could provide to employees in some, again, partial day activities, and also worked with those schools to recruit wellness champions in those schools, who are another staff member who really will work alongside our wellness educators to ensure that employees in those schools have information and are really thinking together about how they can support their own wellness. We early on also offered biometric screenings and blood pressure screenings. We also, through the Wellness Initiative, expanded flu shots that we were offering in person. Of course, we didn't do that this past year, given the pandemic. And then I mentioned before, step therapy is something we have offered. This year, we also offered a new partnership with Livongo, focused on diabetes management, and have otherwise had some other events where our wellness educators are really pushing into different places where they can talk directly to our employees about different ways that they can engage in their own wellness, including activities that are focused on specific conditions like, again, diabetes or breast cancer. The wellness educators have also sought to create ongoing opportunities for employees to engage in different kinds of activities. These range from fitness classes, which became virtual fitness classes, to webinars providing information on various topics, to things like cooking demos, to support employees who are interested in eating more healthy and learning about how they can build that into their regular routines. We've had quarterly wellness challenges where the wellness educators are trying to build employee participation, and some challenges to help people stay focused on wellness, including weight management or weight loss. A couple other things I'll highlight on here among the bullets are the wellness team supported and funded some of the revitalization of our district office cafe. This happened right before school buildings and the district office building first closed in 2020, and therefore staff have not really had the chance yet to experience this, but it was a part of our efforts to make sure that employees have a welcoming space where they can take a break from the day when they are either working in or visiting the district office. And then I'll highlight that the wellness educators have been the facilitators for our joint health insurance committee meetings, and it has been very helpful to use their position as a wellness educator and someone who is really a neutral party focused on wellness and reporting to another organization to bring together the variety of stakeholders in those meetings to think about how we can improve our benefit program. With that, I mentioned at the beginning, we wanted to give a quick update here. As much as I gave the context at the beginning that we wanted to just give some basic information about the health and wellness offerings of the district, because we haven't done that with the board in recent years. We are also, of course, implementing many aspects of wellness that relate to COVID, and so I wanted to give an update that, based on information that our employees have shared with us through our annual survey this year that just closed, 70% of all employees report that they are vaccinated, whether that's through the district administered program or through outside of city schools. And another 6% during the course of that survey over the last month reported that at the time they completed the survey, they were scheduled to receive a vaccination. So at least 3/4 of our employees are vaccinated or on track to be so, and we have encouraged employees who are not yet vaccinated to take advantage of the the public opportunities available to receive a vaccine, given that this is supportive of individual health, but also collective health in our schools and our communities. And with that, I am open to questions or other comments that board members have about employee health and wellness.
Commissioner Reed, I think your hand was up during the presentation.
Thank you. Hey, Chief, can you go to page slide 5? If not, I can just rattle off my idea right there. Okay, and looking at slide 5, thing that registers with me is, like we both agree, and we've agreed for quite a while, that city schools probably has one of the best medical plans. So looking at our medical plan versus comparable institutions, and I see the fact that based on the top line, the medical plan, the ratio is like 1 to 12 versus the contribution for the individual versus contribution from schools. Then I look at the prescription plan, and the ratio is like 1 to 42. Is that deemed to be pretty generous vis-a-vis the rest of the world, or am I looking at it wrong?
Sure, thanks, Commissioner. Your takeaway is quite accurate, that extending on what was on one of the prior slides, the city schools contribution across really the benefit options we have, but certainly our medical plans and even more so our prescription drug plan are very high compared to the employee contributions, and in a way that is much more, to use your word, generous than most other organizations, including most other school districts. So part of what we look at on the administration side and seek to bring into our conversations with the Joint Health Insurance Committee is this point, that we do have to make sure that as we are providing a rich benefit plan for our employees to help support their health and wellness, that we also need to make sure that we're doing this in a way that is sustainable for the system. So we have, through our implementation of the plan, have limited the growth of costs in recent years, and yet the cost of our benefit plan as a district is a significant percentage of our budget. And part of that is due to the fact that we have very relatively low employee contributions for some of these plans. So two things I'll highlight quickly are none of our medical plans have a deductible, and that is very rare. As we've done benchmarking with other districts and certainly organizations other than school districts. So for none of our plans, does an employee ever have to pay some full amount before they can start to access the benefit. And then the second is about our prescription drug plan. We negotiated some nominal increases in the employee contribution toward prescription drugs a couple of years ago, and yet it is a very, very small percentage of prescription drug costs that is borne by our employees.
And that's the thing. I mean, when people look at the budget, how we spend $1.2 billion, basically this non-salary compensation is a really big number, and it's a fixed number. I guess my question is, I'm not trying to hurt the staffers, but is there some negotiation or some process where 42 can go down to like 30, or 12 can go, 1 over 12 goes down to 1 over 10, and it's still within the realm of being fair, especially in light of the fact you don't have a deduction?
Yes, I will say, Commissioner Reed, we certainly believe that there is a way for us to continue to offer medical benefits that are as good as or still better than most other districts or other employers out there, with increases still to the employee contributions compared to where they are now. And we have sought to make such changes through our negotiations with our union partners, and will continue to do so.
Okay, and I guess one other question, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I guess one other question sticks out. You had 24% of your staffers have not been vaccinated. Is that 24%, how would you gauge as Chief Human Capital Officer in terms of what percentage of your staff will not get shots?
Great question. I will say that in January, when we launched our partnership with Johns Hopkins Medicine and the University of Maryland Medical System and the Baltimore City Health Department, at that time, one of the physicians from one of those organizations shared that we should not be surprised at that point if there was vaccination reticence or hesitation of up to 50%. And in the early days, we did see that many employees who were offered the opportunity were not immediately taking advantage of it. So given that context at the beginning, I will say that we are very happy that we're at the point where 75% of our employees have been or are about to complete being vaccinated. We want it to be 100. I think the only other data point I can share is when we were offering the option for people to sign up through city schools, about 10% of employees who responded and explicitly said they did not wish to receive the vaccination, even though they had not been vaccinated elsewhere. So somewhere in that 25% that's left, it might be like half and half between employees who are, just haven't gotten to it yet and employees who might just not wish to be vaccinated. And I also will say that near the end of our own implementation of our coordinated vaccines, there were employees coming back and saying, now I want to be vaccinated. And I think that, there are employees who felt less comfortable at the beginning. And as they heard from peers, heard from family members, heard from others who were getting vaccinated, then they chose to do so.
Thank you very much.
I was just going to add to that a little bit that, so first of all, just huge kudos to Jeremy for what he and his team did with the vaccination. I mean, it was just such a phenomenal way they rolled out that program, and IT had a big role in the way we collected data and communications too, and getting information out. So it was a huge success, and so just huge kudos to the team for that. I will say, like Jeremy, that I do think that I think we maybe need to do another push to encourage people to get vaccinated. And I had my weekly meeting with Dr. Duraza on Mondays, and she too were brainstorming ways to try to help to push our employees. Because I think, like Jeremy said, some people said no initially, they were nervous, but then are starting to rethink that. And I actually talked to one of our central office custodians on the way out the other night, and she's thinking, she hasn't done it yet, but she's thinking about it. And so I've been talking to various staff members to get a sense of that. So one idea the health department had was creating a vaccine buddy system where like somebody who's had a vaccine could be paired with a similar employee who has not, to just like share information. I also think maybe more of the town halls like we did earlier. I think Andre set up some really great town halls, one general one for all staff, and then he did one for L44 and Cub, because those were two groups that's like meal service workers and custodians. We really wanted to make sure they had a chance to ask their questions. I think maybe doing more of those information sessions would be a good idea. But we've reached, the large percentage of our staff, and so now it's just how do we keep getting closer to the finish line.
Allison, while we have you here, and thank you so much for the presentation, Chief Grant Skinner, could we go back to slide 15 really quickly? Because I think that this slide really undertells the story of such a major accomplishment for the district. And there's a lot of data that's not disaggregated out here around what quantitatively this number looks like for the population of staff that did get vaccinated, that have scheduled vaccinations. But I would be really interested to see this information disaggregated out by school base versus district leadership versus or by race.
By union, by race, yeah.
I would love to have seen that here, and
Right.
if we offer that to the public, because while this was such a major feat, I think this slide doesn't give it the flowers that it deserves.
Right.
I agree with you that I think, Jeremy should take more of a victory lap on this one, because they really did do incredible work, and we really do have an incredible dashboard that shows it. So I apologize. I should have caught that myself, but I agree. We need to do more of an update to the community on what we've accomplished, because it really has been incredible. And
Right.
we do have all the breakout you're talking about by union, by race, by gender,
Right.
by job classification.
Okay.
Commissioner Baldema, did you have something to add?
I just want to join in with what Allison and Commissioner Roberts is saying. they didn't capture as much information as we're going to capture right now, because sad to say, in the Black community, they did not have sites where it was accessible for Blacks and African Americans, people of color, to get the shots. And it was very disturbing because in places like Timonium and places on the outskirts of Baltimore, the shots were going like crazy. But then all of a sudden, we realized that we were not getting it until they opened up BCCC, the convention center. But now that they've opened it up to 16 and over, I think you're correct. We're going to see a major difference in a week or two. You're going to have that 10% or a few percent that will, regardless, do not want to get a shot. But I think it's going to increase. And I think everybody was correct by saying it's going to change.
Yeah, commissioners, I would say that we erred on the side of not being repetitive of some things that Dr. Santelice shared in her comments, and I appreciate the push to consistently tell the story of our employees and vaccinations. And to the comments that have been shared, the one thing that I will highlight now is we're tracking from the beginning the sign-up rate and vaccination rate of employees based on race and ethnicity, knowing that the broader story of vaccination implementation across the state and across the country was one of inequitable access. And we were able to buck the trend and overcome that in our implementation, where a slightly higher percentage of Black employees received a vaccination through city schools than the percentage of white employees, and Latinx employees were a little bit higher than both of those groups. So we actually were able to do this in a way that was equitable, and Chief Perkins Cohen also talked about how we did this across groups of employees, like our L44 employees, our service workers. So there is a story there of the way that we, with our partners, were able to do this even more effectively than some others out there who were engaged in the effort, certainly across the state. And one thing I would name is that even our own employees who sought and received a vaccination outside of city schools actually skewed to be much more likely to be white. So even our own employees who found their own access to outside of city schools, for that group, we saw an inequity that we were able to overcome through the vaccines that we provided directly.
Thank you. It's true.
Yeah, and I do think that was about very tailored strategy about who we prioritize. We prioritize meal service workers because they've been in person. We prioritize custodians because they've been in person. And then the very tailored way we supported those staff in terms of making sure they had access. So, Liz Marquetta, kudos to her. She really worked with her team she's food and nutrition to really support cafeteria workers to make sure they had the information to help them with the technology of signing up. Similarly, we did similar support for custodians. And then we had that special town hall that was just for them to have a chance to answer.
Right. Very good.
Thank you so much, Chief Graham Skinner and Allison, for the additional feedback on the presentation. Mr. Gant, do we have anyone for public comment today?
No, we don't, Commissioner Roberts.
Thank you so much. So we can move on to procurement, and the remainder of the time will be spent on procurement.
Good morning. There are 11 items on the procurement agenda this morning, so I'll run through each one and let me know if you have questions so we can pause and have a conversation. The first item on the agenda is the Heartland School Solution. This is point of sale tablets and software for food and nutrition office, and it is for a total of $384,560 for a one-year contract through April 27th, 2022.
I actually have a question there, Jessica. Just for the sake of understanding this a bit more, how does this support the current universal free lunch, free breakfast program being offered by city schools? I'm just trying to understand it in totality.
I believe Liz is on the call that could probably answer that better than I can.
Yes, hi, good morning. So I wouldn't say that this contract specifically supports universal meals. What this will allow us to do is to have mobile point of sale systems. So we, even though all of our meals are universal and any student can get them during a regular school year or during the summertime, we still have to track each of those meals at a designated point of sale. So this is that technology that we are trying to purchase so that when we have kids coming in through, maybe we have some schools where maybe 5 or 6 different points of sale might be occurring in a school right now because people are coming in through different entrances. We're trying to do classroom feeding. So this will allow us to maintain the accountability using technology, not generating a tremendous amount of paperwork, because otherwise we would have to be using pieces of paper.
I think I've seen that in schools before. Okay, thank you. Thank you for adding that context.
Yeah.
The next item is from the Chief Information Technology Officer. It is the T-Mobile contract for data services. This is an up to contract amount for a 5-year term. So it would be up to $25,167,600. The actual total expense for this contract will be dependent on the number of hotspots in use and the amount of data used for each of those individual hotspots. And so the request is for the maximum amount that could be seen based on the number of hotspots that we currently have, the expansion of hotspots, which we get for no cost under this agreement, and the option for unlimited data if a student or anyone using these devices would go above that 100 gigabyte limit for the month.
Jessica, I think Commissioner Reed has a question, and I'm not sure if we have the same one, but Commissioner Reed.
Okay, yeah, so I guess, thank you. I guess my first is, you're spending 25 million, that's the total contract. You may not use it all. But I guess my question is, what do you see the need for absolute in terms of number of hotspots? And I guess my other is educational. I mean, I saw something written there about 100 megabytes versus whatever. What would the usage in terms of megabytes, gigabytes, or whatever of say a family of 3? Make it 4. You got a husband, wife, 2 kids go to school. What would be the minimum I would need to be able to be sufficient in terms of the net? Is there some number that can help me understand what the families need? Because it sounds like 100 megabytes may not be enough.
So I don't know if there's anyone from IT on the call that would be able to speak to those questions, but we can certainly take that back to them and have them include that in information for the board next week. But
Okay.
I don't have an estimate of the amount of data that a family of 4 would use. And the total number of hotspots that we're currently using right now, we've already purchased 16,964, and this would allow us to have an additional 11,000 hotspots to be added in addition to what we currently have in circulation to meet any additional need that is still beyond what we've already purchased.
So that's roughly 28,000 hotspots, right?
I believe the total number is, yes, it's 27,964 hotspots.
So how many do you think you need at the end of the day? Or is that going to cover it?
I do not know what the total universe of need is that IT has been working on, so I will get back to you with that information from after consulting with IT.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reed, I think that's the ITD and or engagement question, but Mr. Gant, did you know Commissioner Reed's 3 questions between you and Joe for follow-up?
Yes. How many hotspots are needed to fit the need?
Commissioner Reed had 3 questions. Commissioner Reed, could you repeat your questions, please?
Yeah, hotspots, we have 28,000. How many we think we need? 1. 2, I guess, what would a family of 4 need? 2 parents and 2 kids need in terms of digital connectivity? And also, what does it mean to have 100 megabytes? What does that get me?
What can it support? Like kind of like it could support like 2 iPads, a computer. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, what can it support? Because that looks like that's the minimum.
Okay, 100 megabytes.
Yeah, but it's in the report.
Okay.
But I guess is the minimum enough? That's my question.
Got it. Thank you.
And so then
Thank you.
my separate question, Mr. Gant, for sustained procurement is, as the district is in the period of reimagining learning and accessibility for students, how does this particular procurement with the addition of more hotspots fit into that larger picture with intentionality?
Got it. And this is just in terms of like fall and summer, or just overall? I just want to make sure I'm contextualizing properly.
And yes, summer, fall, but as we're moving forward, because this is a multi-year contract. This is what, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5-year contract.
5-year contract. So how does that fit into this larger landscape as we're reimagining?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
The next item is also from the Chief Information Technology Officer, and it is the AT&T Mobility Agreement. This is asking for an increase in the current fiscal year from $700,000 to $950,000. This is to cover some of the additional cell phones, tablets, and other related data that have been required for the COVID-19 response in the current fiscal year.
One second, Jessica. Commissioner Reed, do you have a question, or is that from your previous question? I think it's from his
I'm
previous.
good, thank you. I'm good, thank you.
The next item is a contract with CDW Government. This is to purchase switches and related equipment for upgrading 98 buildings in the district. That is a total amount of $13,842,373.84. However, part of the E-rate program is the ability to reimburse the district for these types of investments. And so the total amount that the district will ultimately be putting towards this contract is $2,776,356.07. And the remaining balance will be part of the E-rate program. This is a 3-year contract with 1 renewal. The next item is from the Chief Operating Officer. It's asking for an increase to the relocation requirements contract. This includes Walter's Relocation, Allen & Sons Moving and Storage, and Save a Lot Movers. This is in response to both the increased number of moves that are happening related to the 21st century and also the needs to support logistics for PPE delivery throughout the course of the COVID-19 response. The next item, also from the Chief Operating Officer, is Ameresco, and it is for $3 million for a contract that runs through April 27th, 2032. It is to replace outdated lighting equipment at the 15 schools included in the board letter. The basis of this contract is that the savings generated from the installation of these updated items will also help pay for the cost of the updating lighting.
Yes, one question about Ameresco. I guess my question is, I know we talked about this in the past and the lighting in terms of the cost benefits and the savings. Are we able now, or is it too early, to gauge success in terms of the benefits of the lighting change? Or is that something that's like down the road we won't know for, say, 3 years, 5 years?
Hi, this is Raj Bachubai, and I can answer that question for you. I'm from Chief Operating Officer's office. It's too early to gauge whether the savings are met or not. After the completion of the construction, then after 1 year, we will see how much savings has been met by reducing the electricity, and then afterwards we can gauge and see if the savings are met and how beneficial this one is to use for future projects.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda today is for fuel storage tank services. This is a $800,000 annual contract with a term of April 28th, 2021 through April 27th, 2024, with a 2-year renewal option. The next item is with Towson Mechanical. It's the HVAC installation and replacement services for Hilton Elementary School and Matthew A. Henson. The board previously had approved an agreement on March 26, 2019 for $2,392,500. An additional $50,000 was approved for the contract amount, and we're now asking for an additional increase of $34,251.06 to complete the project. The next item is with Dude Solutions. This is the computerized maintenance management system. The contract term is from July 1st, 2021 through November 2nd, 2024, with a 1-year renewal option with an estimated total contract amount of $660,000, $634.97, including the renewal.
I guess I have one question with this. I mean, I read through it. Why is this critical and useful to the district and the board?
Commissioner, this is Blaine Lipsky. How you doing? And commissioners.
Hey, Blaine, how are you?
Doing well. The computerized maintenance system is a way that facility can track work orders that are provided to the schools, as well as collecting data to forecast out further capital projects as well as maintenance needs that have been deferred and such. It is basically School Dude has been part of the MOU that we established with MSA and the city of Baltimore to build forward with the 21st century. And it's school-based that we collect data, and it provides costs and estimations, and it provides us background to support our CIP projects and submissions. I hope that answers your question.
So this is going to really help the system do its job, or is it something needed because?
Yes, it supports us in the operation field to provide data and work orders and other items for other departments, such as the law department. When we have law cases, we can it actually defines all our work that we support throughout the day, week, and month throughout the year to be established to capture costs, to capture work that we are providing, work that is deferred, work that is forecast for replacement. It also provides us a preventive maintenance schedule for systems such as replacement of air filters and other items throughout the school to support warranty.
So if you're adding this system, does that mean you're cutting costs of other systems because of redundancy?
Actually, this system's been in effect from the get-go of the 21st century, new renovations, new schools.
Okay.
It just expired. The contract expired, and we're trying to go forward with the investment and use of this contract.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is with the Management Center from the Chief Human Capital Officer. This is asking the board to approve a 2-year renewal option for the contract, extending the term through June 30th, 2023. It's also asking for an increase of $54,200 to bring the total amount for the renewal to $215,000. The next item is with Aon Consulting. This is a piggyback. It's requesting that we piggyback the Aon Consulting to be a contract term from February 29th, 2020 through May 31st, 2022 for a total amount of $708,928. That is the last item on the agenda today. So if there are no further questions, we've gone through all 11 items.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Just to check, Commissioner Reed, was your hand up from a previous question?
Yes, it was. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
I believe that is all we have on the agenda for today's meeting. Thank you everyone for attending. Mr. Gant, did you capture all of the follow-up questions?
Most of them, I'll probably just rewatch the video just to make sure.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone that is still on the call. You all have an amazing rest of your Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.